Forget supernovae, forget asteroid strikes. The worst death imaginable won't be hot, loud, or fast. It will be the ultimate freezing silence, stretched out for 1 trillion years, and we are biologically hardwired to hate every single second of it. You panic about the heat death of the universe the same way a primate panics when the lights go out. It's a biological failure response. This isn't theoretical physics for tenure-track professors who live by peer review. This is the dark secret that modern astrophysics tries desperately to whisper softly, preferably in footnotes. They call it the black hole era. Sounds clinical, right? It isn't. It is the end of color, the end of light, the final cessation of complexity itself. Think about that crucial word, complexity. Everything you are, your consciousness, your ability to read these words, the vast, fragile civilization clinging to this damp rock, is fueled by thermodynamic gradients, hot flows to cold. High energy decays inexorably to low energy. That flow is not merely an effect, that flow is life. Stop the flow, you stop everything worth experiencing. Here is the blunt, ugly reality. Our entire concept of human progress is narcissistic nonsense, built on the assumption that energy will always be available to power our little engines of meaning. We look at the cosmos and project our desperate 3-pound survival mechanism onto it, searching for some cosmic purpose, some divine blueprint. Total delusion. The universe does not care about purpose. It is a machine running down. It has a strict, horrifying expiration date. And that date is defined not by explosions, but by the relentless, slow-motion decay of every star, every rogue planet, and eventually the colossal, silent evaporation of the biggest black holes that ever existed. We are talking about timeframes that literally shatter the computational ability of the human brain. We are ants glancing at a stopwatch set for 10 to the power of 100 years. We cannot comprehend that scale. We process information in seconds, hours, and maybe, if we're lucky, a century, trillions of years. It is biologically meaningless data. But that meaninglessness is precisely where the truth lies. We must look beyond the cozy, immediate future, the one where the sun still shines and chemistry still works, and face the long, cold darkness. The universe will not end with a bang. It will end with a whisper of hawking radiation, a heat so faint it's barely a tremor in the quantum field. The story of the universe isn't really the story of creation, it's the story of elimination. The first stage of this inevitable decay is already underway. Stars are failing. They are sputtering out, one by one, like old candles in a drafty mansion. Red giants exhaust their fuel. White dwarfs cool into black dwarfs, becoming stellar corpses, frozen crystals of carbon and oxygen waiting for oblivion. You want comfort? Go watch the shows that promise alien life and habitable zones. If you came here looking for the ugly truth buried deep within the equations, the kind of truth that makes you question why we even bothered evolving past single-celled organisms, then you understand the cost of real perspective. You belong here. We must stop thinking in terms of mere billions of years. Billions are trivial. They are nothing compared to the true cosmic night. Now let's talk about the true villains of this story, because while stars fade, the black holes thrive. They are the ultimate cosmic trash compactors, the final beneficiaries of gravity's unrelenting power, destined to inherit the universe. They won't just sit there silently waiting. They are currently being formed in stupendous numbers. Galactic mergers are feeding them. Collapsed stars are fueling them. The universe is busy ensuring that the greatest repositories of mass and energy are safely tucked away, inaccessible, waiting patiently for the last light to fade. Think of them as the cockroaches of cosmology. They survive everything. But even they have a sell-by date, a truly astonishing, agonizingly slow sell-by date. The evaporation process is so slow, so faint, that it makes stellar burnout look like a quick flicker. We're talking about the time it takes for a single proton to decay, multiplied by epochs. It puts our biological time obsession in its miserable, pathetic place. We fret about next Tuesday, and the universe is already setting the stage for an end so deep, so slow, that the very concept of change becomes obsolete. It will be the era of the ultimate irreversible stasis. We are entering the era of the ultimate irreversible stasis. You must grasp the scale of this cold fact. The decay of a proton, the very thing that makes you solid, the nucleus that gives structure to hydrogen, takes exponentially longer than the lifetime of all the stars combined. Don't pretend you grasp that number. It's a conceptual anchor thrown into the void that we cannot pull back. This is the quiet betrayal at the fundamental level of physics. Protons are not eternal. They will unravel, slowly, impossibly slow. They transform everything we recognize as substance, chairs, mountains, your body, planets, into fleeting high-energy photons and ghostly positrons. Now, look closely at what remains when the stellar dust settles and the black holes start their glacial burn. What fills the infinite vacuum is not dramatic darkness, but a terrifyingly uniform zero-point energy field, and the scattered remnants of former matter, drifting further and further apart. The universe doesn't just empty, it stretches until it becomes featureless wallpaper. We call this the degenerate era. It is the epoch of truly organized complexity collapsing. Stars are replaced by degenerate stellar remnants, cold, dense husks of former glory. White dwarfs cool into the aforementioned black dwarfs. Neutron stars, too, cool down, eventually merging into objects so bizarre, so dense, that we can barely imagine their final metallic structure. This is the ultimate recycling program, where entropy is the manager, demanding every last bit of usable energy. But the real loneliness is reserved for the final form of matter. Given enough time so vast it defies analogy, these dense remnants will decay. The protons within them will eventually expire, turning even the densest structures into a diffuse cloud of nothing. Before that final collapse, though, some cosmological theories suggest a truly terrifying phase. Matter stabilizes itself into a giant lattice of iron stars. Imagine that, you sitting there, a universe whose heaviest, most stable element is iron, a cold, dense, metallic structure floating alone in the endless night. This is the Iron Age of the cosmos, the phase preceding the true vacuum. It's the universe maximizing its stability just before annihilation, a chilling, pointless elegance. If this relentless, almost cruel truth, if this cold, thermodynamic reality check is what you crave, then you know what to do next. It's not about entertainment. It's about existential alignment. This place is reserved for those who prefer the terrifying fact to the comfortable fantasy. Now listen to this. Even intelligent life cannot escape the heat-death mandate. Even if we somehow evolved to be energy beings or uploaded our consciousness into computational matrices, the laws of thermodynamics are the cosmic guillotine. Any computation requires an energy differential, a temperature gradient, to operate. If the universe has reached thermal equilibrium, if everything is uniformly cold, then thought itself becomes impossible. You cannot flip a bit. You cannot process a single logical instruction. The ability to observe, to record, to even be complex is ultimately throttled by the deep cold. Civilization ends not with a bang, but with the inability to find the heat necessary to run a single logical gate. Game over. Entropy wins the trophy. The ultimate tragedy is not the obliteration of Earth, which is a blink. The tragedy is the obliteration of meaning, because meaning requires persistence and contrast. In the age of black holes, the only things that exist are those massive singularities, slowly shedding energy through Hawking radiation, and the thin, scattered fog of elementary particles. The average temperature of the universe will be effectively zero. We are talking about fractions of a degree above absolute zero. You can almost feel the silence. This is the true horror movie, endless nothingness, punctuated only by the faint, almost undetectable hiss of evaporating gravity wells. Think about the sheer, unforgiving duration of this final cosmic night. It is the timescale that fundamentally breaks the human spirit. Our deepest drives to build, to remember, to reproduce are predicated on the concept of sustainable duration. We are wired for the brief, violent, energy-rich phase of the universe. We are solar creatures. When the lights go out, everything we define as existence, hope, science, love, becomes an artifact of a bygone era. We become meaningless relics. And here is the punchline, the dark joke the universe plays on its most self-aware inhabitants. Black holes eventually decay entirely. Even the supermassive ones, those colossal gravitational beasts at the heart of galaxies, will eventually evaporate. They will spend more time evaporating than the universe has currently existed. When the last black hole finally vanishes, the universe will be populated only by photons, neutrinos, electrons, and positrons, flying apart, endlessly diluting into the vacuum. There is no structure left. There is no force capable of drawing anything back together. There is no information left to record the beginning. The universe achieves perfect, dead symmetry. The story concludes with a total loss of narrative. This is the cold physics of loneliness. This is the reality you signed up for when you clicked on this video. The universe does not wait for us to solve our trivial political or societal squabbles before initiating its final countdown. It is already happening, right now, in the background. A relentless thermodynamic inevitability humming beneath the noise of our lives. The laws of physics are the ultimate sovereign, and they demand universal surrender. Our intelligence, our unique ability to perceive this end, serves only one purpose: to witness our own inevitable fade into the quiet static of the cosmos. Our entire epoch, the brief, blazing moment of structured matter and thinking organisms, is merely a brief, violent flicker between two eternities of absolute darkness. But we human beings, we hate the vacuum. We build loud machines. We fill the space with noise, with ambition, with cheap, immediate distraction, because the alternative, the recognition of that terminal silence, is unacceptable to the biological imperative. We are masters of purposeful denial. Our brains actively shield us from the existential dread inherent in a universe that doesn't care if we solve climate change or discover the secret to immortality. It won't matter. We are solar creatures, remember? The sun dies. The star factory shuts down. Everything else is just detail. You think your information is safe? You believe data stored on the cloud will somehow transcend thermodynamic law? Idiot. Information is physical. It requires energy to be maintained, structure to be stored, and a differential gradient to be meaningful. When the energy gradient flattens, when that perfect dead symmetry arrives, the signal is lost in the noise forever. Entropy wins. That is the only guaranteed headline. And yet, we build. We plan for centuries. We fund space missions designed to outlive the political systems that created them. We call this hope. I call it neurological programming. A magnificent, self-serving delusion that allows us to function while staring down the barrel of cosmic annihilation. We cannot evolve fast enough to accept total futility. Our survival mechanisms demand that we see a finish line, even if it's a mirage shimmering in a vacuum. We tell ourselves we are building monuments to civilization. We are really just making transient fluctuations in the vast ocean of nothingness. Temporary waves. Now look at how we define our own brief existence against this background. We assign meaning to arbitrary systems. Currency, borders, narratives of history written by the victors of the last skirmish. These things are less durable than the hydrogen atom. They are vapor. We fret over decades, agonizing over legacy, yet the entire epoch of Homo sapiens will be statistically insignificant compared to the evaporation time of a single small black hole. Think about that comparison. Your entire history is shorter than the time required for a stellar remnant to burp its last quantum of Hawking radiation. It strips away all pretense. It reveals the dark truth beneath all our philosophies. Meaning is entirely brutally self-generated and just as brutally temporary. Sarah Mesmer, that our intelligence is a gift? Perhaps it's the cruelest biological error ever made. We are the only creatures, as far as we know, cursed with the ability to calculate our own definitive expiration date, the final, irreversible deadline for the entire system. A deer lives in blissful ignorance of the sun's death. The bacterium cares only for the next moment of sustenance, but you possess the capacity to understand the heat death, the decay of the very fabric of space-time, and you still have to wake up and pay your bills. That juxtaposition is the true definition of tragedy. The finite mind grappling with the infinite void. The paradox breaks people. It breaks civilizations. Look closer at the physics of despair. It isn't just that the universe dies, it's how it dies. It doesn't go out in a glorious supernova or a bang of finality. No, it dilutes, it dissipates. It runs down like a massive, poorly maintained clock, sputtering to a stop over trillions of years until the last electron-positron annihilation occurs, leaving behind only the cold hum of zero-point energy. It's the sheer lack of drama that insults our narrative sensibilities. We demand an epic conclusion. We demand a villain, a hero, a final stand. The universe offers only relentless decline and statistical probability. This relentless dilution is why the past becomes utterly erased. Not just forgotten, erased. We rely on the concept of information being recoverable, that the history of our fleeting moment is somehow etched onto the cosmic landscape. Wrong. The very mechanisms that allow the universe to structure itself, gravity, electromagnetism, are exactly the forces that will eventually fail to bring anything back together. Once the information has spread out sufficiently, once the photons are too far apart, there is no physical mechanism left to reconstruct the library. The story concludes with a total loss of narrative integrity. There is no witness left. There is no record keeper. There is no memory. You don't just become dust. You become unmatter. You become the definition of the unrecorded event. It's an oblivion so deep it retroactively negates the importance of the event itself. And here is my final, unvarnished verdict on human existence in the face of this reality. Our struggle is beautiful, fleeting, and utterly pointless. That is the great liberation. When you realize the cosmos requires nothing of you, that your achievements mean zero in the final count, you are finally free to define meaning for yourself, but only for the sliver of time you have left. Go ahead, build your empires, write your poems, find your transient love, but never mistake that temporary self-assigned value for eternal truth. The great, chilling truth is waiting, silent, and perfectly symmetrical, demanding surrender. Every moment of joy is a furious, momentary rebellion against the cold, quiet physics of the end. Choose your rebellion wisely, because the lights are going out. You think your consciousness makes you special. You believe that love, that sudden, crushing realization of need, is spiritual transcendence. It is not. It's just successful ape programming. Look closely at the true mechanism. Every frantic search for cosmic meaning, every tear shed over lost poetry, every towering monument you carve into the shifting earth is simply the byproduct of a supremely effective survival algorithm running too hot. We evolved complex frontal lobes not to ponder the heat death of the cosmos, but to better organize the hunting party and store grain for the harsh winter. You are a biological entity reacting perfectly to environmental stimuli designed purely for propagation. When you feel that sickening despair at the emptiness of space, that is your deepest reptilian wiring screaming, because large, cold, resource-absent spaces usually meant certain death for your ancestors. The dopamine surge you get from solving a difficult problem, That is efficient survival feedback, the warmth of belonging, herd protection protocol activated. We tragically mistake these successful chemical cascades for evidence of higher purpose, a profound evolutionary category error. This is the great humbling joke. We are apes who learned language and accidentally built systems of philosophy demanding answers that cannot exist because the questions themselves are malformed. We are still fundamentally driven by fear, status, and reproduction. Everything else is just complex, beautiful ornamentation draped over the survival vehicle. Now, understand the real implication of the big fade. When the last light winks out, when the final proton decays, it's not just the cosmic history that vanishes. It's the entire, complicated framework for feeling important that collapses. The chemicals stop flowing. The algorithms crash. The advanced ape finally recognizes the stimuli were always temporary. This isn't cynicism, not truly. This is physics stripped bare and applied to biology. We were never designed to find cosmic meaning etched in stone. We were designed to survive 80 years, pass on the genetic blueprints, and then gracefully, or more often ungracefully, exit the stage. Our obsession with legacy is merely an accidental byproduct of language and memory, not an eternal mandate. To chase meaning outside of your own transient burning existence is the ultimate failure of observation. It is a biological denial of the exact physical laws governing your short tenure here. The final, unvarnished verdict, then, is devastatingly simple. You are complex, organic machinery, temporarily animated by sunlight and chemical equilibrium. The ultimate, horrifying freedom lies exactly in this realization. Since nothing you do matters outside the thin, vanishing bubble of human consensus, and since that consensus will vanish entirely, poof, you have precisely zero external obligations to the universe. None. Your only duty is to choose your hallucination wisely. Choose the beautiful illusion that sustains your short time. Choose the people you love. Choose the art that makes the pointlessness bearable. Do not try to solve the universe. Just live the span you were given. The cosmos offers only one final courtesy. It promises to forget you completely. It guarantees total narrative erasure. Take that guarantee as license. Be brave. Be human. Burn bright now, because the silence that follows will be infinite, and it will be total. The final verdict is sealed. Meaning is a temporary neurological hallucination. Stop trying to negotiate with the cosmos. It won't answer. Your only genuine purpose is the complex, fleeting act of experiencing this life. Choose your illusion now. Embrace the absolute, horrifying freedom of knowing that nothing you build will survive the heat death. This allows you the profound dignity of burning your brightest while you still can. The cosmic silence is guaranteed. Make